me down again.
Caitlin Clark is no stranger to proving her doubters wrong, and ESPN's Molly Qerim is the latest to regret underestimating her. After a dominant rookie season that saw Clark break records and carry her team to success, Qerim's comments about Clark not deserving a spot on the USA Olympic team are coming back to haunt her. Today we break down how Caitlin Clark silenced one of her loudest critics and proved that she belongs at the top of the WNBA. Stay tuned to find out how this superstar made Molly Qerim eat her words. When the USA Women's Basketball Olympic team roster was announced, Caitlin Clark's exclusion shocked fans. For many, Clark was the face of the future of women's basketball, and her absence raised eyebrows. But for Molly Qerim, the decision to leave Clark off the team made perfect sense. During an episode of First Take, Molly argued that including Caitlin Clark on the roster would hurt the game by prioritizing marketing over skill.
That's exactly what I'm saying, because I think it makes a mockery of the women's game. If the focus on, now we just have to have people because of marketing and their intention, and they're not as talented, and we're not putting the best team out there.
She claimed that having Clark on the team would undermine the quality of play, suggesting that her fame was overshadowing her talent.
Stephen A., I could actually argue that it hurts the game more if they had given her a roster spot over someone more deserving.
Molly's comments didn't sit well with fans, many of whom had already seen Clark's incredible performance during March Madness and her early days in the WNBA. Her argument that Clark wasn't talented enough felt like an out-of-touch critique from someone who underestimated just how much impact Clark could have on the court. As the debate over her Olympic snub raged on, Caitlin Clark let her game do the talking. She was quickly setting new standards in her rookie WNBA season, becoming the first player in league history to hit 100 three-pointers faster than anyone ever had. She didn't just break the rookie scoring record, she shattered it, becoming the first player to log multiple triple-doubles in her debut season. Her accomplishments were even more impressive considering she led the Indiana Fever, a team that had missed the playoffs for 7 straight years, back into postseason contention. Clark wasn't just an exceptional player, she was a transformative one, elevating her entire team and the league's visibility with her performances. Fans flocked to games to see her, and WNBA viewership spiked whenever Clark was on the court. Meanwhile, Team USA's performance in the Olympics fell flat. The games drew low viewership, and many fans speculated that the lack of a star like Caitlin Clark was part of the reason. It became clear that Molly's initial criticism was not holding up against reality. As Caitlin Clark continued her historic rise, Molly Qerim found herself in an awkward position. The young star's play on the court made it increasingly difficult to justify her earlier remarks. Fans weren't the only ones noticing. Clark's co-hosts on First Take, including Stephen A. Smith, began to question Molly's stance. Stephen A., a well-known figure in sports commentary, pointed out that leaving Clark off the Olympic roster seemed more like a missed opportunity than a sound decision.
I truly believe eyeballs are going to tune in. People are going to be clamoring. Let me get my popcorn ready to see Caitlin Clark ride the bench.
No.
But
the answer is no.
But time out. But first of all, it's 2 points to that. Number one, we don't know if she's going to ride the bench. That's number one.
Well,
and number
they're going to
two,
put out. They're going
to. Hold on, Molly, you can't ask me a question.
Okay,
Molly,
but
I'm answering your question.
Stephen A., I'm telling you know she's not going to be one of the starting 5.
Did you be that idiotic and not make that call when throughout history, Team USA has been in part about marketing? It's dumb, period.
He emphasized that Clark had proven herself to be not just a marketing asset, but a genuine talent who could compete with the best in the world. Even Molly's attempts to justify her comments by suggesting that other players deserved their time to shine felt hollow as Caitlin Clark continued to dominate headlines with record-breaking performances. Beyond her remarkable play, Caitlin Clark's influence extended off the court as well. Her merchandise line, including the Limitless basketball collection, sold out almost immediately. Fans were eager to support the young star, and her branding power was undeniable. This further highlighted the irony in Qerim's earlier remarks. While Molly feared that Clark's inclusion would be purely for marketing, It was clear that Clark's combination of talent and marketability was a winning formula. With every passing game, Caitlin Clark continued to defy expectations. She was named the first rookie in WNBA history to win Player of the Month, a feat that further cemented her status as one of the most exciting players in the league. Her triple-doubles became routine, and her ability to take over games was something fans hadn't seen from a rookie in years. As Caitlin Clark's season continued to exceed expectations, Molly Qerim attempted to soften her earlier critique. On a follow-up episode of First Take, Molly tried to explain that she wasn't doubting Clark's talent, but felt that other players deserved the spotlight.
By the way, it wasn't that anybody didn't think he was going to be successful or not play. It was just that we felt the other players in the W deserve shine as well.
Molly, I said...
Really, Molly? Wow.
They jumped on us. They jumped on us, Molly. They jumped on us as a show. They jumped on us as a show when we talk about...
However, her co-hosts and fans weren't having it. On social media, fans were quick to point out that Caitlin's achievements had far surpassed anything Molly had predicted. Some even joked that Qerim had only served to motivate Clark further, pushing her to prove her critics wrong in spectacular fashion. One of the key lessons from this story is that doubting a player like Caitlin Clark comes with consequences. The combination of her skill, marketability, and leadership makes her a once-in-a-generation talent. Molly Qerim may have underestimated her, but Clark's response on the court silenced any remaining doubt. Clark's Olympic snub now looks like a massive oversight, with fans and analysts alike acknowledging that the USA women's basketball team missed out on an opportunity to showcase one of the brightest stars in the sport. As her rookie season comes to a close, it's clear that Caitlin Clark isn't just a great player. She's the future of the WNBA. Caitlin Clark has proven Molly Qerim wrong in the best way possible, by letting her performance speak for itself. What do you think? Did Molly underestimate Clark, or was it all part of the learning process? Leave your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more updates on Caitlin Clark and the WNBA. There's so much more to come from this superstar, and you won't want to miss it.
How much more experience that gives you over other players coming in, right? So people say, dang, like he or she's killing them, but you have a 25-year-old playing against a 20-year-old. Mm-hmm. Like, you should be killing them. Because you've been doing it a lot longer than they have. Clark right now probably takes about 40 shots a game.
Mm-hmm. Here we go.
Cheryl Swoops has been stirring up controversy in the WNBA, particularly with her critical comments about rising superstar Caitlin Clark. This season, Swoops has made no secret of her jealousy, but her latest actions have taken things to a whole new level. ESPN, the network that's been closely following Caitlin Clark's meteoric rise, has highlighted her impact on the WNBA numerous times, making Swoops' criticism even more surprising. Diamond DeShields recently made headlines in WNBA news for an aggressive play against Caitlin Clark, sparking intense debate among WNBA fans. Imagine this. DeShields intercepts Clark at half court during a key Indiana Fever game, not with just any foul, but with a clear, frustration-driven play. The fallout from this incident was immediate, with WNBA analysts and fans calling it out as a dirty play.
Against Caitlin Clark, it wasn't okay. It was a flagrant foul.
Igniting a firestorm of controversy. The aftermath of Diamond DeShields' actions didn't stop at just criticism. DeShields faced a barrage of backlash, including receiving racist threats.
Diamond DeShields received racist threats after Caitlin Clark flagrant foul,
which highlighted ongoing issues within the WNBA community. But amid this storm, Cheryl Swoops stood out as a vocal supporter of DeShields, continuing her narrative against Caitlin Clark. Swoops tweeted, "Head up, kid. Hate will not win. You are covered, and there's nothing these evil people can do about that. All love for you." This tweet, while supportive of DeShields, had significant consequences for Swoops, leading to her removal from the WNBA broadcast team for the highly anticipated Fever versus Dallas Wings game, a pivotal WNBA matchup. When questioned by WNBA fans who were eager to hear her commentary, Swoops didn't hold back, responding with the now famous phrase, "Not today, Satan." But let's be honest, supporting WNBA players who engage in potentially dangerous, career-threatening actions isn't a good look for a WNBA legend like Swoops. This incident isn't isolated, it's just the latest in a series of actions that suggest jealousy and resentment towards Caitlin Clark, one of the most talked about players in women's basketball today. Stephen A. Smith, a well-known sports commentator frequently featured on ESPN, has consistently defended Caitlin Clark, and this time was no different. Smith didn't hesitate to call out Cheryl Swoops for her biased and baseless criticism of Clark.
Swoops. No, Caitlin Clark. Respectfully, Cheryl Swoops, you have any idea how that makes you look? You have any idea how that serves to stain any kind of critique of Caitlin Clark?
The Caitlin Clark effect isn't just a buzzword. It's a real phenomenon in women's basketball, driving WNBA viewership and attendance to new heights. Caitlin Clark is redefining the game every time she steps onto the court, breaking WNBA records and setting new standards for what's possible in women's sports. But with greatness comes envy, and Swoops' actions seem to reflect the challenges that come with being a trailblazer like Caitlin Clark. The tension between Cheryl Swoops and Caitlin Clark goes back to Clark's college basketball days. Swoops openly questioned whether Clark's skills would translate to the WNBA, even suggesting that Angel Reese's game was better suited for professional play. Swoops confidently predicted that Clark wouldn't dominate the WNBA immediately.
Like, nah, it's not gonna be that easy. So will Caitlin Clark be a good pro? Absolutely. Will Caitlin Clark come into the WNBA and do what she's doing right now? Immediately? Absolutely not. Not gonna happen.
Okay. But as we've seen, Caitlin Clark has exceeded all expectations, proving her doubters wrong at every turn. But Swoops didn't stop at questioning Clark's abilities. She also criticized Clark's NCAA scoring record, dismissing it as a result of volume shooting rather than skill.
Going to break a record, to me, if it's legitimate, you have to break that record in the same amount of time that that player set it.
Okay.
So if Kelsey Plum set that record in 4 years, well, Caitlin should have broke that record in 4 years. But because there's a COVID year and then there's another year, you know what I mean? So she's already had an extra year to break that record. So is it truly a broken record? Yeah, that'll go in the record books as Caitlin Clark is the all-time, whatever it is. I don't even know what the number is, but that's the way it'll be. And I don't think it should be.
However, Swoops got several key facts wrong. She claimed that Caitlin Clark took advantage of an extra year of eligibility due to COVID-19, playing 5 years of college basketball. In reality, Clark played the standard 4 years, just like Kelsey Plum, the previous record holder. What's more, Caitlin broke the record in fewer games, showing that it wasn't just about taking more shots, but making them count. Swoops also exaggerated by stating that Caitlin Clark takes 40 shots per game, when in truth, Clark's average is closer to 19 shots per game. And perhaps the most glaring mistake, Swoops claimed that Caitlin is 25 years old when she's actually just 22.
How much more experience that gives you over other players coming in, right? So people say, dang, like he or she's killing them, but you have a 25-year-old playing against a 20-year-old. Like, you should be killing them. Because you've been doing it a lot longer than they have. Clark right now probably takes about 40 shots a game.
Here we go. These inaccuracies have led many WNBA fans and analysts to question whether Swoops' criticism is based on facts or personal bias. What Cheryl Swoops fails to acknowledge is the monumental impact Caitlin Clark is having on women's basketball and the WNBA as a whole. Caitlin Clark is bringing more attention to the WNBA than ever before, inspiring a new generation of young female athletes and drawing in a wider audience to the league. Instead of uplifting the next generation of WNBA players, Swoops seems intent on undermining their success. But this isn't just about Caitlin, it's about the future of the WNBA. Supporting Caitlin Clark means supporting the growth and evolution of women's basketball. Despite the backlash, Cheryl Swoops eventually issued an apology, though many found it less than sincere. She defensively stated that Black people can't be racist, a comment that did little to mend the situation.
I'm going to say this, and then I want to be done with this whole conversation. So for people to come at me and say that I made those comments because I'm a racist, first of all, black people can't be racist.
Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark continues to break records in her rookie WNBA season, solidifying her place in the history of the WNBA. From holding the WNBA single-game assist record to becoming the youngest player to achieve consecutive double-doubles in points and assists, Caitlin's accomplishments are rewriting the WNBA record books. Yet Cheryl Swoops seems determined to ignore these achievements. It's becoming clear that this isn't just a case of casual criticism. It's starting to look like a personal vendetta, and people are taking notice. Even Stephen A. Smith, known for his outspoken views on ESPN, couldn't stay silent. He publicly criticized Swoops for her blatant bias against Clark.
Clark and the Fever currently lead the WNBA in average game attendance and per-game TV viewership. But despite the attendance and viewership records, there seems to be some haterade in the league in regards to Clark starting with WNBA legend Cheryl Swoops herself.
The statistics don't lie. Caitlin Clark is leading the Indiana Fever to new heights, with the team boasting the highest average game attendance and TV viewership in the WNBA. And yet, Swoops refuses to give Caitlin the credit she deserves. Instead, Cheryl Swoops continues to praise other Fever players like Lexi Hull, Kelsey Mitchell, and Aaliyah Boston, while conspicuously leaving Caitlin Clark out of the conversation.
This Indiana team, I'm going to say shout out to Lexi Hull. I'm a big Lexi Hull fan. Watch her in AU. Lexi Hull shot the leather off the ball in their game against Seattle and just couldn't miss. Kelsey Mitchell is just stroking. She is just shooting the basketball. Aaliyah Boston, almost a triple-double.
This omission is becoming increasingly difficult for WNBA fans to ignore, especially as Caitlin continues to set new records and drive the success of the Indiana Fever. Swoops' refusal to acknowledge Clark's contributions is not only petty, but also damaging to her own reputation as a WNBA legend. And the criticism doesn't end there. Swoops went as far as to suggest that Caitlin's success is due to having better teammates at the Fever compared to Angel Reese's situation at the Chicago Sky. With Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese locked in a tight race for WNBA Rookie of the Year, Swoops' dismissal of Clark's talent is almost laughable. So, what's next in this unfolding drama? As Caitlin Clark continues to rise in the WNBA, will the league and its legends like Cheryl Swoops finally give her the recognition she deserves? Or will a shadow of jealousy continue to loom over her achievements? One thing is certain, this story is far from over. Caitlin Clark has taken the WNBA by storm, breaking records and shutting down critics left and right. But one critic, ESPN's Molly Qerim, went a step too far, claiming Clark's presence on the USA Olympic team would hurt the game. Now, with Clark continuing her historic season, Molly is walking back her words. This is how Caitlin Clark made Molly Qerim regret doubting her. Stay tuned to see how the showdown between an emerging superstar and a high-profile critic unfolded. When the USA Olympic team roster was announced, Caitlin Clark's omission sent shockwaves through the basketball world. For a player as dominant and widely regarded as the future of women's basketball, being left off the roster was puzzling to many. Cheryl Reeve, Team USA's coach, explained the decision, citing Clark's inexperience at the professional level and the fact that she missed training camp due to her college commitments during March Madness. But the real stir came when Molly Qerim weighed in on ESPN's First Take. She boldly claimed that putting Caitlin Clark on the roster would hurt the game, and implied that the decision to leave her off the team was justified.
Stephen A., I could actually argue that it hurts the game more if they had given her a roster spot over someone more deserving.
Molly argued that adding Clark to the team would prioritize marketing over merit, essentially suggesting that Clark wasn't skilled enough to deserve a spot.
That's exactly what I'm saying, because I think it makes a mockery of the women's game. If the focus on, now we just have to have people because of marketing and their intention, and they're not as talented, and we're not putting the best team out there.
Her words sparked immediate backlash, with fans and analysts pointing out that Clark's on-court performances had already proven her to be one of the most talented players in the WNBA, even in her rookie season. Qerim's comments were controversial for several reasons. For one, Clark had already broken multiple WNBA records by that point, including the fastest rookie to hit 100 three-pointers and the first to log a triple-double. These achievements were unprecedented, especially considering how few rookies in WNBA history have made such an impact right out of the gate. Fans were quick to defend Clark, pointing out that her exclusion from the Olympic team had more to do with logistics than talent. Stephen A. Smith, Qerim's co-host, even questioned the logic behind leaving Clark off the Olympic roster.
I truly believe eyeballs are going to tune in. People are going to be clamoring. Let me get my popcorn ready to see Caitlin Clark ride the bench.
No. But
The answer is no.
Hold up. But time out. But first of all, it's 2 points to that. Number one, we don't know if she's going to ride the bench. That's number one.
Well,
And number
they're going to
two,
put out. They're going
and hold on, Molly, you can't ask me a question.
Okay,
Molly,
but
I'm answering your
Stephen
question.
A., I'm telling
Okay,
you know she's not going to be one of the starting five.
Did you be that idiotic and not make that call when throughout history, Team USA has been in part about marketing? It's dumb, period.
Given her potential to elevate the team's profile and increase viewership, he argued that having a player like Clark on the team wouldn't detract from the competition, but instead enhance the overall level of play and fan engagement. After all, this was a player who had carried her college team to deep tournament runs and was now carrying the Indiana Fever out of a playoff drought. While the debate raged on about her Olympic snub, Caitlin Clark was doing what she does best, proving her critics wrong on the court. By the time the Olympic Games were underway, Clark was already setting new records in the WNBA. She became the first rookie in WNBA history to win Player of the Month, broke the record for most three-pointers in a rookie season, and logged multiple triple-doubles in what is now being called the greatest rookie season in league history. Clark also propelled the Indiana Fever to their first playoff appearance since 2016, a feat that many thought was impossible.
They turned it around. They've won 7 of their 8 since. They clinched a playoff berth for the first time since 2016, which, by the way, was the last year of Hall of Famer and franchise icon Tamika Catching's career. So Caitlin, she continues to make history. She's the first rookie to win WNBA Player of the Month since the award's inception.
She not only led the team in scoring, but also in assists, showcasing her ability to make her teammates better. Aaliyah Boston, for example, had the best season of her career playing alongside Clark, with both stars earning all-star nods. And Clark wasn't just putting up stats, she was doing it in style. From hitting logo threes to dishing out jaw-dropping assists, she quickly became the most talked-about player in the WNBA. Her rise to superstardom was undeniable, and fans couldn't help but wonder how different the Olympic team's fate could have been had Clark been on the roster. As Clark continued to dominate, Molly Qerim found herself in a tough spot. The numbers didn't lie. Caitlin Clark was proving herself to be one of the best players in the league. On First Take, Molly tried to explain her earlier comments, stating that while she didn't doubt Clark's talent, she believed other players deserved the spotlight as well.
By the way, it wasn't that anybody didn't think she was going to be successful or not play. It was just that we felt the other players in the W deserve shine as well.
Molly, I said...
Really, Molly? Wow.
They jumped on us. They jumped on us, Molly. They jumped on us as a show. They jumped on us as a show when we talk about...
But fans weren't buying it. Social media quickly lit up, with many calling out Qerim for underestimating Clark and not acknowledging her rapid rise to greatness. Even Stephen A. Smith chimed in, saying that it's one thing to want balance in the spotlight, but it's another to deny a player the credit they deserve.
You know why we didn't do a better job of promoting the WNBA? Because the numbers, the eyeballs, the interest, the sizzle, the headlines were not there. No one cared. The public didn't care. And so now you have somebody, that has the world caring, and you say to her, well, you know what? We want to make purely basketball decisions. It's the right thing to do, and we got to be worried about how other people are going to feel.
The tension on the show was palpable, and Molly's attempts to justify her earlier remarks only seemed to backfire. In fact, Clark's success proved just the opposite of Molly's claims. Not only did her presence elevate the fever, but it also brought more attention to the entire league. WNBA viewership surged, and games featuring Clark consistently drew larger audiences than those without her. Fans were tuning in to see the next generation of basketball, and Clark was the face of that movement. Throughout all of this, Caitlin Clark never addressed Molly Qerim's comments directly. Instead, she let her performance on the court speak for itself. Game after game, she continued to break records, lead her team to victories, and solidify her place in the MVP conversation. Clark has always been known for her composure and confidence, and that's exactly how she handled this situation. Rather than engage in the back and forth of media drama, she focused on what she does best, playing basketball at an elite level. Her ability to rise above the noise and deliver on the court is what sets her apart from other players. And it's why, despite the early criticisms, Caitlin Clark is now one of the most respected names in the game. As we look ahead, one thing is clear: Caitlin Clark isn't going anywhere. If her rookie season is any indication, she's only scratching the surface of her potential. Her historic run has already put her in the conversation for MVP, and she's quickly becoming the face of the WNBA. The USA Olympic team may have snubbed her this time, but with the way Clark is playing, it's hard to imagine a future roster without her. And as for her critics, they're learning quickly that doubting Caitlin Clark isn't a good idea. Caitlin Clark is proving the doubters wrong, and the world is finally catching up to her greatness. What do you think? Did Molly Qerim underestimate Caitlin Clark? Should Clark have been on the Olympic team from the start? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more updates on Caitlin Clark's rise to superstardom. Trust us, you won't want to miss what happens next. The WNBA world is buzzing, and not for the reasons you might expect. Cheryl Swoops, one of the league's biggest legends, has found herself at the center of a heated debate after repeatedly criticizing Caitlin Clark's historic rookie season. Gil's Arena is the latest platform to take on Swoops, with Gilbert Arenas and his co-hosts going all in on her controversial comments. Could Swoops be feeling threatened by Clark's rapid rise? Stick around to hear what went down and why fans are siding with Caitlin Clark in this war of words. Cheryl Swoops is undeniably a legend in the WNBA, but lately she's been making headlines for her controversial takes on Caitlin Clark. Over the past few months, Swoops has repeatedly downplayed Clark's accomplishments, arguing that while Clark is impressive, she isn't as dominant as many believe. Swoops has even gone as far as to say that neither Clark nor Angel Reese would dominate in their rookie seasons.
What I said was I didn't think Caitlin or Angel would come into the league and dominate immediately, which I don't think either of them did.
What started as a seemingly innocuous opinion quickly snowballed into a major controversy, as Swoops' continued criticism of Clark's performances drew backlash from fans, analysts, and even other players. On Gil's Arena, Gilbert Arenas and his co-hosts took a deep dive into Swoops' comments, calling out the WNBA Hall of Famer for what they see as personal bias. During the latest episode of Gil's Arena, Arenas and his co-hosts didn't hold back when discussing Swoops' critique. She's crossed the line from analysis into hate, Arenas said, referencing Swoops' unwillingness to acknowledge Clark's incredible accomplishments. Co-hosts joined in, pointing out that Clark has done things no rookie in WNBA history has done before.
Look at the dominating factor being numbers. It's what you're doing on the floor. And those numbers would change if the factors on the floor changes. If you make that layup, the stats change. If you swing, I get a layup, stats change. These are factors on the floor that we don't get to see.
And yet Swoops has continued to suggest that Clark isn't living up to expectations. One of the main points discussed was how Swoops kept shifting the goalposts when it came to Clark.
Reading the floor well, she's
Rashard, you can do that for every single player that plays the game.
I know, but I'm doing it for the rookie because she came in with an expectation. Everybody else didn't come in with an expectation to even analyze their game. So if we want to say whether or not Caitlin is dominating or not, we have to actually look at the totality of her game and not just the highlight.
Early in the season, Swoops argued that Clark wasn't impacting the game the way she should. But by the time Clark was breaking records left and right, Swoops claimed that stats alone don't define dominance. This inconsistency didn't go unnoticed by Arenas and his co-hosts, who questioned whether Swoops was letting personal feelings cloud her judgment.
Now, if we say her stats are today, what?
20 points, 8.4 assists, 6 rebounds.
That's crazy.
But 5
That's crazy.
5.6
Those
are hell of a number.
Those are hell of a numbers.
But to me, that's not dominating.
While the drama swirled around her, Caitlin Clark has let her game do the talking. In her first season in the WNBA, Clark has shattered multiple records, becoming the fastest player in league history to hit 100 three-pointers. She also set the WNBA rookie record for assists and has led her team, the Indiana Fever, to their first playoff appearance in 7 years. Clark's rookie stats, 19.5 points, 8.4 assists, and 5.7 rebounds per game, are already legendary. And it's not just about the numbers. Clark has displayed incredible leadership on the court, elevating her teammates and making the Indiana Fever a team that no one wants to face in the playoffs. Her impact goes beyond scoring and assists. She's fundamentally changed the trajectory of the Fever franchise. By any measure, Caitlin Clark's rookie season is one of the best in WNBA history. Yet despite these achievements, Swoops has continued to minimize Clark's success, arguing that she's not truly dominating the league. Swoops' comments have sparked a major backlash among WNBA fans, particularly those who support Caitlin Clark. On social media, fans have pointed out that Clark's numbers this season are comparable to some of Swoops' best years in the league. In fact, some have gone as far as to say that if Clark isn't dominant now, then Swoops never was. The ongoing criticism from Swoops has led many to question whether her comments are rooted in something more personal. Is Swoops threatened by the new wave of WNBA talent, particularly players like Clark, who are breaking records she once held? Gilbert Arenas hinted at this on his show, suggesting that Swoops may be struggling with the fact that the game is evolving and new stars are taking over.
When we're talking about Caitlin, we're talking about when she said dominate. When we're saying dominate, we're thinking what she does in college.
Score the ball.
She's dominated college, right?
No, she dominated in college.
She dominated. So when she says you won't come here and dominate off the rip, averaging 17 is not dominated compared to averaging 30-something for 4 straight years.
But that was also like the first half of the season. I feel like after the break, I still don't think she's dominating, but she's a different player than she was in the first half of the season.
While the debate over Swoops and Clark has been front and center, it's part of a larger conversation about the generational shift happening in the WNBA. Players like Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese are part of a new wave of talent that is bringing more attention to the league than ever before. With record-breaking performances and a growing fan base, these young stars are changing the landscape of women's basketball. But with that change comes tension. Older players and legends like Cheryl Swoops may feel their legacies are being overshadowed by this new generation. In Gil's Arena, the hosts explored how this dynamic could be fueling some of the more pointed critiques coming from Swoops.
She averaged 31.6, 7.4 rebounds, 9 assists, right? Did anyone expect her to do that in WNBA?
Those three? No.
Right? So she didn't do that.
No.
Now, if we say her stats are today, what?
20 points, 8.4 assists, 6 rebounds.
That's crazy.
But
That's crazy.
5.6
Those
are hell of a number.
Those are hell of a numbers.
But to me, that's not dominating.
After all, it's not just about stats. It's about maintaining relevance in a league that is rapidly growing and evolving. Caitlin Clark represents the future of the WNBA, and her rise to prominence has sparked debates not only about her abilities, but also about what it means to be a dominant player in today's game. Swoops hasn't backed down from her stance, even in the face of backlash. Most recently, she argued that Clark's MVP-level performances are inflated by the media's desire to promote a young, marketable star.
It's not going to be as easy as y'all think it's going to be.
Right.
But also saying, don't put all that pressure on these rookies, and just say Angel and Caitlin in particular, because that's who everybody was talking about. Like, don't put all that pressure on them to feel like they got to come in and do what they did in college.
She even suggested that the WNBA's focus on Clark's success could be taking attention away from other deserving players. such as Aja Wilson and Angel Reese.
I don't think either of them are going to come into the league and dominate immediately, meaning what they did in college.
Over all of the players in the W.
And the reason why I said it is because you have a player like an Aja Wilson.
However, Gil's Arena co-hosts were quick to point out that Clark's success hasn't come at the expense of others. In fact, her ability to elevate her team and generate excitement for the WNBA has brought more visibility to the league as a whole.
No rookie is in dominating form, right? When we're saying dominating, you go through history and say, well, Candace Parker dominated her rookie year.
Yeah.
Cap.
You don't feel that.
She was great her rookie year. She was better than expected her rookie year. But if you take her rookie year compared to her dominating year, is it?
Can we say this?
But if you win the MVP, you wouldn't say that she dominated.
Yes. So her best year was her rookie year?
I'm not saying it was her best year, but if I come in as a rookie and I'm the most valuable, but if I'm the most valuable player in the league, how can you say I didn't dominate the league that year?
Is it your best year?
No.
Your best year is your most dominating year, right?
But why can't I have 5 dominating years?
They argued that players like Aja Wilson have continued to shine alongside Clark, and there's room for multiple stars to dominate in the WNBA. This latest round of criticism from Swoops has only deepened the divide between her and Clark's supporters. Many believe that Swoops is not being objective in her analysis and is instead letting personal biases influence her commentary. But as Gil's Arena made clear, Clark's performances speak for themselves, and it's becoming increasingly difficult for critics to downplay her impact. As the backlash continues, fans and analysts are wondering what's next for Cheryl Swoops. Will she continue to double down on her critique of Caitlin Clark? Or will she acknowledge that Clark's rookie season is one of the greatest in WNBA history? Gilbert Arenas hinted that Swoops might have to adjust her approach if she wants to maintain her credibility as a broadcaster and analyst. It's okay to have opinions, but when those opinions aren't based in reality, you lose the audience, Arenas said during the show. Swoops' legacy as a player is cemented, but her recent comments have called into question her role as a commentator. Moving forward, it will be interesting to see if she changes her tune or if this criticism will define her post-playing career. The debate over Caitlin Clark's dominance isn't going away anytime soon, but one thing's for sure, her rookie season is already making history. What do you think? Has Cheryl Swoops been too harsh, or does she have a point? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more WNBA updates. Caitlin Clark's journey is just beginning, and we're here to cover every moment of it.